So the first thing I want to talk about is the man with 6 fingers. So there's a person in Gravity Falls that has 6 fingers who has written the journal. How we know this is from 2 pieces of evidence. One, Grunkle Stan puts on a glove at the very beginning of episode 1 of season 2. It has 6 finger slots. So why is that? Why does it have 6? Obviously the guy has to have 6 fingers. And there's another scene from episode 2 that also reveals this. Take a look at this clip right here.
What did you do to the real author?
You'll likely never find him. That 6-fingered nerd hasn't been himself in 30 years.
So that pretty much proves that the author had 6 fingers. And who is someone that could have 6 fingers in Gravity Falls? There's only one other person that could, and his name is Old Man McGucket. Now, why would Old Man McGucket write the books? I mean, he seems so uneligible for writing the books, but let me explain how this is possible. Old Man McGucket has a cast on his right hand, and plus, there's this one leaked image that is supposedly real that Old Man McGucket is the writer of the journals and has 6 fingers. Take a look at the image. As you can see, this really does look like Old Man McGucket. Has the band-aid on the beard, has his hat in the background, and he does have 6 fingers writing in the book. Now this could just be an April Fool's joke, but we don't know. It is very possible that it could be Old Man McGucket, because also in episode 1 and 2, there's evidence that something happened 30 years ago, and it would explain how Old Man McGucket was writing what looks about him 30 years earlier in the books and now is totally insane. Take a look at these clips.
See, there it is again. We haven't seen readings like this for 30 years. Is it coming from deep space? An enemy weapon site? Just as I suspected. Gentlemen, we're going to Gravity Falls. What did you do to the real author?
You'll likely never find him. That 6-fingered nerd hasn't been himself in 30 years. But I do thank you for bringing me his...
So Old Man McGucket is most likely the journal writer. For this reason. A, that picture does look like him from 30 years ago, and B, he is crazy and totally insane, and this would explain a lot. Going through that portal that Grunkle Stan activates at the last episode of season 1 would do something like that to you if you didn't know how it works. And plus, look at this decoded message for episode 2 of season 2. So this code, when deciphered, means improper use of machinery could lead to utter catastrophe. So if Old Man McGucket did make the machine, and something happened 30 years ago, then why is Grunkle Stan involved with all of this? Well, I have a possible theory. If you watch this clip, you'll see what I'm talking about.
30 long years, and it's all led up to this.
30 long years. That's interesting that he says that, because that's when the incident happened. So does that mean Grunkle Stan was there when the incident happened? So, was Grunkle Stan associated with the author at one point? Because if that's the case, then Grunkle Stan and Old Man McGucket could have been friends. They could have been research partners. We don't know. I mean, it would make sense to how Grunkle Stan has access to the author's secret lab. And this would explain how Grunkle Stan knew there's 3 blueprints in each of the journals, and when they put them all together, it would show a blueprint of the portal. I don't know, this is just something that I came up with the help of the internet. Let me guys know in the comments if you think this is correct or if it's incorrect. But let's move on to the next part of this video. So one question ran across my mind as I was watching both of these episodes. Where is Robbie? Now this might not be a huge question, but I think it is. Because in episode 1, Wendy's friends do appear to the party, but Robbie is not with them. Why is that? Now you could say that Robbie has a broken heart and does not want to see Wendy or anything like that, but that's not true, because in the last episode of Gravity Falls for season 1, Robbie is there with a boombox trying to win Wendy back, and in episode 2 of season 2, he texts Wendy with his frowny face thing, winking. I don't understand that, but this is weird. I mean, he should have at least come to the party, because it seems like he's obsessed with Wendy, and that would have been the perfect time for him to beg her to come back. He did get a magical CD that won Wendy back. Couldn't he do the same thing again? But I don't know. This is just a weird thing I had, and I noticed it while I was watching the episode. This room raised a ton of questions to me. Why are there a bunch of red glowing signs? And why do only certain amount of the tiles move towards you to try to crush you? Why wouldn't the entire room move towards you? Well, obviously this is a security room because the book says it's a security room. Or is it a security room? It could be, but what if it's a security room for Bill Cipher? But what if, when Gideon did the spell, it released him from here? Because when they entered, it said, keep out. So there could have been something locked up in here. And it could have been Bill Cipher. It's just a little idea. I don't know. It could be right. It's just something I noticed when I was watching this. It's interesting. It does bring a lot of questions to me. Why it is so locked up. I want to talk about the shapeshifter. Why is the shapeshifter not mentioned at all in any of the books? Now, we only do know about the second and the third book. We don't know much about the first book, so it could be there. But just in case it's not there, then why is he so hidden? Why wouldn't the guy want to talk about him? I mean, it would make sense to inform the readers about the shapeshifter, but I guess we'll never know. It's just a weird question that came across my mind. And also, in this scene coming up, why would the shapeshifter help Dipper? Or not really help him, but warn him about what will happen if he keeps digging for the author. Take a look at the scene.
You think you're so clever, don't you, Dipper? But you have no idea what you're up against. You will never find the author. You keep digging, you'll meet a fate worse than you can imagine. And this will be the last form you ever take.
This was an image found at the very end of episode 1 of season 2 of Gravity Falls, and it decodes to say, the man downstairs is very clever, can he hide his plans forever? Now, this is weird that it says this right next to a skeleton that Skull is breaking. Obviously, this means the government will find his portal and try to confiscate it from him and cause another disaster. Maybe not the last part, but that the government will find it and screw it up in some fashion. We don't know yet, and we can only figure out by watching more Gravity Falls. So there's one last thing I want to talk to you guys about before I end the video, and that is the briefcase / computer that Seuss got from the lab. What could it have on there, and why does Bill want it? Because we can see in the trailer that Bill Cipher is trying to get the briefcase. But anyway, it says property of F. Now, does Old Man McGluckin's first name start with an F, or is it someone completely different? And Old Man McGluckin is just there to throw us off from the true author. I mean, we don't know, to be honest. We can't really tell from the little information we have about it, but we do know it's going to have a big role in Season 2. Gravity Falls Season 2, Episode 3 has one scene in particular that is out of place for that episode, and that's the scene with Robbie. Now, Robbie is spray painting Wiener into the side of the castle wall. Now, you might be thinking, oh, this is just a funny gag meant by the creator, you know, to have some comic relief or anything. But no, this is not meant for that, I think, anyway. I think it's more than that, because it's so out of character for Robbie to do something like this. Now, you might be disagreeing with me at this point, but I'm talking about Season 2 Robbie. Not Season 1 Robbie, but Season 2 Robbie. Season 2 Robbie, in Episode 2, was texting Wendy to desperately take him back with a weird winky face. Now, he's still depressed, and he didn't go to the Spookio party in Episode 1 of Season 2. But all of a sudden, he'll just go out and graffiti Wiener into the side of a castle wall at a mini-golf place without any of his friends. Now, this is just so weird. Now, there is a theory about how Robbie has clones, like there's 2 Robbie clones from the Boy Crazy episode, and I could see this really working here in particular. Does this mean that the 2 Robbies will try to kidnap Wendy in the future? Probably. And that's probably the theory I'm going with here. But for now, it's still very much of a mystery to why Robbie is so out of character in just this one episode compared to Episode 2 and 1 of Season 2. I like how the creator of Gravity Falls put a little extra detail on the computer and hinted it towards Old Man McGuckets by putting a band-aid on it. I really like that touch. Just thought I should mention that. There's more proof to how Grunkle Stan and Old Man McGucket are truly friends. And it is in the end of Episode 4. Now, why am I talking about a theory that happens at the end of Episode 4 first? Mainly because in my previous video, everyone liked the Old Man McGucket theory, so why not have an update to it? So this is sort of like something really interesting that happened that I really took note of, and I'm not sure if many other people have. but it's at the very end of the credits how Old Man McGucket and Grunkle Stan in puppet forms are sitting together in the opera watching Mabel and Dipper perform. Now this might just be, oh, that's a funny skit at the end, but I think it's more. I think they're trying to nudge us towards the direction that Grunkle Stan and Old Man McGucket are friends. Now on Old Man McGucket's computer, or so we think it's his computer, it shows the portal, or a simple drawing of the portal, and Grunkle Stan has access to it. Now we still don't know how he has access to it and why, but it is very interesting that the computer has that, and it's Old Man McGucket, and Grunkle Stan has the portal. I don't know, it's just a little bit more to the theory, but that's all I can bring to you as of now. And we'll keep watching to find out more about Old Man McGucket and Grunkle Stan's relationship to the books and just their friendship in general. When I was watching this episode for the first time, there was one thing that caught my attention. During the actual sock opera, there was two people in the background hiding that I thought were kind of familiar. So I paused my TV to look at it, and it was the two agents from episode 1 of Gravity Falls. Now I'm thinking, yes, they definitely have a bigger role and they actually are spying. Now I'm thinking this is like the time traveler guy, how he was hidden in some of the episodes, but instead they reveal the government agents first and they're hiding them in future episodes. So I wonder if there's some government agents in episode 3 that we just didn't notice. But for now, this is just a little interesting thing that I found, and I know probably a lot of other people have found it by now, because I know there are a lot of people who analyze this just as much as I do. So I'm not going to say that I found it first, because I have no idea if anyone has found it first or not. So yeah, that's just a little bit of something interesting about the government agents and how they're going to be a lot bigger of a role in Gravity Falls' big plot in Season 2. Alright guys, now it's the big theory time, the huge episode 4 theory that you guys have been waiting for. Alright, so Bill Cipher is in this episode, which I was so happy to see him return because I love Bill Cipher. But anyway, this theory is something really big and I don't think people have covered it yet. And it's just this one little line right here that grabs my attention.
Man, it has been so long since I've inhabited a body. Woo!
Okay, so it's obvious that Bill Cipher has possessed a body beforehand. But whose body did he possess? And why did he possess that body? I think that he possessed Grunkle Stan's body. Now, why did he possess Grunkle Stan's body in particular, and not Old Man McGucket's body? I think the reason is because Old Man McGucket had already gone crazy and is useless at that point. And Grunkle Stan has the portal, and he was watching it, and Bill Cipher tries to trick him with a mind game, and tries to take Grunkle Stan's body so that he can use the portal so that he could cause that bomb that the author was getting ready for. Okay, so most of you guys are probably thinking, Ryan, how did you come up with this theory? It's so out there. It's crazy. There's no way it could happen. Well, I have an answer for you guys. Okay, so in Season 1, Episode 19, Gideon summons Bill Cipher to make a deal with him. And when Gideon mentions Grunkle Stan and asks him, do you know who Grunkle Stan is? Bill Cipher shows a picture of Grunkle Stan. And that picture shows Grunkle Stan trying to grab something. Now you can see that there's a flashing computer on the background, which is the computer for the portal, or it's the portal itself. Now, why is Bill Cipher in there and how did he get in there? I can't answer you that. But Bill Cipher is trying to take Grunkle Stan's body, or it so appears to look like that, so that he can control the portal. And it flashes a symbol. Now, we're just assuming that this is Grunkle Stan's tattoo, and we don't know what this means yet. But I think that Bill Cipher was trying to take Grunkle Stan's body to control the portal so that he can cause that atomic explosion that the author had prepared for in the bunker. Huge theory. If you guys agree with me or disagree, let me know in the comments if you have any more speculations. But I'm going to leave this theory to how it is for now, and I will be updating it throughout Season 2's analysis. So with that, let's keep going. Okay, so there's only one thing left to talk about for this video, and that is the codes at the end of the credits. And the first one I'll talk about is Episode 3, and it's the one with the windmill. It translates to say, "Old man sleeping on the green, can't help but wonder what he's seen." Alright, so of course this is leaning even more towards that Old Man McGucket has in fact written the books. So that's pretty much all that this one has in it, because in episode 3, Old Man McGucket was sleeping on the greens when Mabel was playing golf. That's pretty much all this theory has to say, and like this does lean towards the theory I mentioned in the last episode. So let's see what the other one says. So the message from episode 4 is divided into 4 quotes from Bill Cipher. They all say, "No puppet strings can hold me down. So patiently I watch this town. Abnormally soon will be the norm. Enjoy the calm before the storm." Alright, so obviously this is talking about how Bill Cipher is going to take over Gravity Falls and possibly the world and completely change it. And it's going to be filled with darkness and evil, and this is pretty much leaning towards the main theory today. It is a little bit how he wants the portal to destroy. Now, I'm assuming the storm is the atomic bomb going off whenever he activates the portal in the wrong way. "No puppet strings can hold me down" is when he was inside the puppet, and then Dipper and Mabel blow up the puppets. "I patiently watch this town" is obviously whenever it says Bill Cipher is watching. "Abnormal soon will be the norm," which is all the abnormal things in Gravity Falls will be normal throughout the entire world. That's pretty much what all these translate to be, or at least what I think they translate to be. That's pretty much all we can say about that for now. And finally, to wrap all of this up, how episode 3 and 4 are similar to each other is mainly because they both have a silly atmosphere, but they hold so much more than just, silliness. There's actual character development, as well as some huge theories behind them. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is the password for Soos's computer. In the previous episode, I got a lot of comments from you guys about predictions of what the password could be. But I saw this one thing in episode 5 that could give us the answer to what the password could be. The password is FixingIt1. This could either be one of two things. This either could be the password to Soos's computer, or it could be the password to Old Man McGucket's computer. Now, how could it be the password to Old Man McGucket's computer? It's actually really simple. Soos probably reset the password when he was fixing the computer. But there is one flaw with this. How come Dipper doesn't know the password? Wouldn't this be something that Soos would mention and tell him the password to? Well, there is one thing. Soos could be hiding the password from Dipper because he doesn't want to find out the secrets. We really don't know yet, and we really can't say much about it. But for now, it's going to be a mystery, and we'll never know because Bill broke the computer. Anyway, let's go to the next theory. In episode 5, they go to the mall, and in the mall, you can see the government agents walking. Once again, Gravity Falls has hidden the agents in another episode. This means the government agents for sure will have a bigger role in the future episodes, and I'm so happy for this. We already knew that they were going to come back, but we didn't think they were going to be throughout Season 2 hidden. I thought they would have another episode where they show themselves off, but we don't know yet. They could be hidden for all of Season 2 and come back at the last 2 episodes, and they could take Grunkle Stan's portal and maybe misuse it again and cause another explosion. Or maybe they can use Gideon and free him or something. We don't know yet what's going to happen. I'm just going off the rails here. Anything could happen at this point. It's fair game. I'm just so excited to see how the government agents will have a bigger role in Gravity Falls Season 2. It's time to talk about the big theory for this episode. Listen to all these quotes that Grunkle Stan says and try to guess what the theory we're going to be talking about today is.
I've got to be careful this time. No more Colombian Knights. And their observation skills. Boo! Good job, heisting hands. Mwah, mwah. Movies are great. You watch the movie, you scare the girl snuggles up next to you. Next thing you know, you gotta raise a kid, your life falls apart. Forget that last part.
All 3 of these quotes come together in this way. I think, now this is a huge speculation, I'm not 100% sure if it's accurate or not. I think that Grunkle Stan went to Colombian jail because he tried to steal a Colombian engagement ring for his wife. Now, how do I know this and how did I get this? Well, I got this because in episode 1 of season 2, you can see an engagement ring in his drawer when Dipper pulls it open. Now, we didn't know what the engagement ring was for beforehand, but obviously it was for the ring. Now, maybe this ring wasn't for his wife, maybe it was for the girl who he broke up with. Because, well, it makes sense. He really did love her. And the person who he had a kid with, apparently he didn't love that much. Or so it sounds like in episode 6. I mean, we really don't know at this point. It is kind of iffy. I just think it's kind of cool that we get more backstory from Grunkle Stan. Alright, so now I'm going to analyze the ending credits messages. So first I'll go with episode 5. The message for episode 5 is winning hearts by daylight, her emotional baggage is a real fright, possessing robots by moonlight, she has the one name, Giffany. Obviously this is about Giffany and what she does throughout episode 5. There's not really much more to say about that, that's pretty much it. But for episode 6, it's probably the shortest message we've gotten so far for season 1. And it says, all animation is black magic, which is a reference to what the guy says in the 3rd skit, or Clay Day. That's pretty much it. None of these are really significant. It's just there. That's the messages. That's what they decode to say, just for anyone who's interested. So let's talk about another theory. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about real quick is the Society of the Blind Eye. That's the name of the 7th episode, well, according to Wikipedia. And also, there's been some spottings of the Blind Eye logo. In episode 3, you can see it by the taco place on the wall, and in episode 5, you can see it on the dumpster where Grunkle Stan is fighting the animatronic bear. But something I want to point out really quick is the eye's red on the side of the trash can, and so is the mushroom or bomb explosion cloud on the dumpster that we see earlier in the episode. Maybe Robbie drew the Blind Eye Society graffiti on the trash can on the wall. I don't know, it's just a little idea. I mean, he could be in the Blind Eye Society. I could see it happening. Just something little I want to talk to you guys about before we end the video. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree or disagree with this video. I apologize for the video being so short. I mean, there's not really that much theories I could pull out of this episode. There's not really much involving the huge plot of Gravity Falls. Okay, here we go. This theory is going to take a long time explaining. So I'll start here. Okay, so we figured out that Old Man McGucket is not the author. Let's just get that out of the way. There's no way he could be the author. Well, there is a way, but I'll talk about that later. He is the builder of the portal. He made the portal into reality. That's very important to know. That's a crucial fact that we need to know, that Old Man McGucket was involved with the author at some point. He also mentions that the author is from out of town, or a visitor who wants to see Gravity Falls. Now, you would think this would eliminate Grunkle Stan and possibly his brother, but it doesn't. Now, I don't think personally Grunkle Stan is the author for this one reason. Grunkle Stan takes a scan of the 3rd book in Season 2 at the very first episode. Why would he need to do that if he's the one who wrote it all down? Wouldn't he remember something like that? And plus, we know his mind isn't white, because he can still operate the portal and he still knows what it does. Okay, that doesn't really make sense to me. So it can't be Uncle Stan. It cannot be, there's no way. But, it could be Stanley. Now, we don't know if Stanley was in Gravity Falls, because we know that Grunkle Stan, Stanley, and Old Man McGucket were adults when they were doing this. So maybe Stanley left Gravity Falls and came back, and Old Man McGucket didn't know that. So, maybe when he saw Stanley writing everything down, his brother came to visit, and Stanley taught Grunkle Stan how to work the portal and all, and Grunkle Stan had to do all the operation stuff while Stanley was in the portal room. And when Grunkle Stan turned on the portal and had full energy, Stanley got sucked in. Because we can see at the end of the 7th episode that Grunkle Stan gets the portal to be stronger in sucking things in, and he wraps a band-aid around his hand like Old Man McGucket's. We don't know what that means yet, but it is something very interesting to remember. And there's blood. I'm surprised he got away with that. But anyway, yes, I think Stanley could be the author. Now, since we haven't seen Stanley's hands, it is very possible, because in episode 2, it doesn't ignore the fact that they say the author is a 6-fingered nerd. They don't ignore that fact. Since Old Man McGucket could have 6 fingers because he got one removed off of the band-aid. Now, we know that can't be true because it shows Old Man McGucket breaking bones as he becomes more stupid. So, there's no way that it could be from the portal incident. It was afterwards. So, it had to be someone with 6 fingers. Now, the hand size is the same as Grunkle Stan's. That's the interesting part. The glove that he puts on, it fits. So, since brothers or twins typically have the same size hands, but maybe twins can be born with different features. Now, there's some, I don't know what the exact term is called, where there's 2 different looking twins, but you can have that. Maybe the twin had a 6-finger deformed birth. But there is a theory about how each more fingers you have, the more knowledge you have, something like that. But I don't really know about that. But anyway, what I'm building up to is Stan Lee's the author. He got stuck in the portal. He came back to Gravity Falls to do some investigating because he noticed things as a kid, like Dipper did, and crazy stuff like that. Bill has a big role in this, but I don't know where Bill comes in. I really don't. And the fact that Grunkle Stan doesn't really remember Bill, that could be an indicator of how he could have wiped his mind with Bill, but we don't know that. There's just so much that we don't know, and that's just so awesome in my opinion. I love this, and I cannot wait to see where this goes. So let me know what you think of that theory. Let's go on to the next one. Alright, so it's time to talk about Robbie once again. Now, I seem to always talk about Robbie in my theory videos. It's just Robbie's a very interesting character to me, so I love analyzing his character even more. So we can see from the tapes that Robbie V actually has gotten his mind erased. Now, it's interesting that they only showed his tape. There were so many tapes in there that they could have shown, but the fact that they showed his is a little bit interesting. Now, this does debunk the fact that Robbie is a vampire. There's no way he could be a vampire, because why would the Blind Eye Society take a supernatural creature into their lair and zap his mind? Why not zap their own mind from seeing that? So this makes me think that Robbie V could have clones. There is the clone theory out there, so that's making me lean more towards that side and less towards the side of the vampire. But it still leaves us with the weird question to how he got the tape or the CD. Since he's obviously not a member of the Blind Eye Society, how did he get that tape or CD? I keep mixing up the names. But how? It doesn't really give us any sense to that. I guess we'll have to learn that more later on, but that's all I've got about Robbie. My next theory, believe it or not, is about Gideon. That's right, Gideon. Now, it's weird that Gideon was mentioned in the trailer, but yet he has no appearance in this episode. Or does he? At the end of the credits, we get our secret message, the one that we normally translate, and that message says, Gideon's tantrums misspelled tattoos. A fear of witches, a life of regret. Chandra's rejections, society's view. These are things that they try to forget. I'm just assuming since Gideon's father was in the Blind Eye Society that this is why he joined, so that he could forget about everything that Gideon had done to him, like make him upset and Gideon's tantrums. But his mom was not in the society, so that's why she looks all with gray hair and everything because of all the stress. I don't know, that's just a theory, but I don't know why they're mentioning it here. I know Gideon's coming back later on in the season, but I mean, I didn't think he was going to come back this early. I don't know, it's just something interesting I noticed while watching it and after I translated this. I was thinking, how come whenever they erased their minds that they didn't permanently erase it? Now, they kept the memories. I don't really know why that makes sense. I don't know why they did it, but nonetheless, I feel like now the government is going to find all of these secret memories or they're going to watch it, and that's going to get them a step closer to the secret society and the author and all the paranormal stuff in Gravity Falls. It's just not good. Once again, the government is going to have the upper hand by having all this information. It's just we don't know how they're going to find it or when, but you know they will. It's so obvious. There's so much foreshadowing towards it. The final theory of this video is going to be about why the Blind Eye Society was so persistent in erasing everyone's mind. Now, they did give an explanation, but I think they were hiding something. I think they were hiding the fact that they didn't want Bill Cipher to be seen by anyone. Because once Bill Cipher sees you, he'll have you memorized forever and he'll watch you and he can go into your mind. See, I think that's why the Blind Eye Society is Bill Cipher's eye with an X on it. And that's why old McGucket made it the Blind Eye Society, so that he would see no more Bill. Because I'm assuming that Bill is what came out of the portal through the other dimension. I mean, he's just so otherworldly. But again, a lot of stuff in Gravity Falls is. So, I don't really know. I feel like that is a valid reason, but there's not really enough information to say that or not. So that's the final theory of this video, and I think that's going to wrap it up for now. This is all I really want to mention for now about episode 7, because I want to save that for a future episode when I do episode 7 and 8. So yeah, So pretty much I want to save the rest of the content that I found in this episode for a future episode of my analysis. Also, be ready for another Gravity Falls episode analysis coming out pretty soon. I'm hoping to get them out more frequently and not just over episode analysis. So the big theory of this episode is Robbie has a clone. Okay, so I found more evidence towards this. I don't think really anyone has noticed yet. So in episode 8, you can actually see Robbie playing laser tag, and he's actually pretty happy about it. But in the next episode, he is super depressed that Wendy dumped him, and he's still trying to get over that. Now, why would he be playing laser tag, being happy one day, and then the next day be crying over Wendy? That doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, the episodes always could be out of order, but I highly doubt that's the case. I mean, I don't really know. Just something I saw. Very interesting. We've also figured out recently that Robbie's last name is Valentino, and it's not just Robbie V. Now, that really helps debunk the fact that he could be a vampire. Now, the only fighting chance that he could be a vampire is the 2 dots on his chin are vampire bites. But again, vampires normally bite on the neck. I mean, this is Gravity Falls, so anything could happen. In the end of episode 7, Grunkle Stan got his hand hurt really bad while messing with the portal. But in episode 9, you still see that band-aid on his hand. That is some really cool detail. I mean, they might be doing something with it, like maybe get Dipper or Mabel to ask about it, and maybe that's how they find out about the portal. I highly doubt that's the case, though. I mean, I don't really know. It might just be there for detail, but nonetheless, it is still a really cool factor, and I cannot believe they did that. It's just a little small detail I thought I should point out. So the next thing we're going to cover are the hidden people in Gravity Falls in episode 8 and 9. So I would like to go over the people in episode 8 first. In episode 8, you can see the Gleefuls and a baby Gideon. Now, Mrs. Gleeful is actually happy, which is very weird to see because normally Mrs. Gleeful is mad and insane and has gray hair. But she actually has brown hair, as you can see in the picture. And also, I would like to point out that Gideon still has his weird hair that he's had ever since he was a baby, apparently. So the people in episode 9 that are hidden are the Blind Eye Society leader and the boy band that Mabel was crazy about earlier in season 1. And also the government agents are there. Now I would also like to point out that they were in episode 7 too. I just forgot to point that out, so my bad. But yes, the government agent is still trying to figure out the mystery of Gravity Falls, and it is super interesting to see this. And I cannot wait to see where this goes. I really like that they're picking up on the details by showing all these hidden characters that we have seen in the past and even in the last 2 episodes. That's some crazy stuff. So the next thing I want to talk to you guys about are the codes at the end of the episode. So the episode 8 code says, join the Time Paradox Avoidance Enforcement Squadron. Great hours, solid benefits, sign up yesterday. It's pretty much just a joke. There's no really special analysis about that one. So let's move on to the episode 9 one. The episode 9 one says, at the play or at the fair, I always see them standing there, dressed in black, they're on my lawn, but when I turn my head, they're gone. This is a really, really awesome code. I'm glad we got this. I mean, it's about the government agents and how they're hidden in the episode, and when you try to find them, they're gone. I mean, it's just perfect. It's just telling us more about how the government agents are going to be a huge deal, and they've been in almost every single episode since their debut, which is super, super duper cool. I think we're going to get an episode with the government in it pretty soon because they're hinting towards it like crazy. It might be when the new episode comes out in episode 10 or episode 11 or so on, or it could be towards the end of the season. We really don't know yet, but we just cannot wait to see what's going to be next. The final thing I want to show off was the letter that was revealed during the commercial break of episode 9, which was the creepy letter from Little Gideon. And this letter pretty much says that he's going to break out of jail and he's going to get Bill Cipher and they're going to have a book club. I'm assuming this is going to be talking about the books and who the author is and all that kind of stuff. So what we can get from this pretty much is that in episode 10, maybe that Little Gideon is going to be the villain and he's going to seek vengeance on Mabel and Dipper. Make sure you write in the comments about what you thought about episode 8 and 9 and some theories that you have about Gravity Falls. I would love to read them. Also, make sure you give the video a thumbs up because that really helps me make more content. And also, don't worry, there's going to be more Gravity Falls content coming out very soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Ryan Kelly. Peace.